Hey everybody, welcome to the Ghost Show, and I'm Sika Groves. I'm a archaeologist, a psychic medium, and a paranormal investigator. And my other lovely hosts, all three of us are here today, which is really great. Hey Rachel.
Hi, hello everyone.
We're talking about the ancient Ram Inn today, which is in England, and Ian's kind of the expert. So we're gonna let Ian introduce himself and Rachel, and we'll start right into the show today.
Well, hello everyone. I'm Ian. I am a paranormal investigator and a paranormal researcher.
Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Banda. I'm a psychic medium. I've been doing that pretty much all my life. I've also joined several paranormal investigative teams and acted as the psychic medium for them, and can't wait to talk about that some more and add my input to the new Ghost Show.
Excellent. And Rachel's all dressed for the occasion.
I am. I am. It's Halloween and I'm going for it.
Excellent. And we are wearing our standard Ghost Show.
Yep.
Yeah. I should have given you some warning that this is how I was going to look. I don't normally look this dressed up.
Love it. Okay. So, Rachel, you and I are not experts on this, but I did get a picture of the Ram's Inn behind me, and it is very old.
Yes.
It looks pretty spooky. I mean, looking at the building looks kind of spooky, but I'm not really familiar. I've never been. I have heard of it,
Right.
Stories about it. I've seen episodes of other television shows that have discussed or actually done ghost hunts here. But Ian, you've got some, I guess, first or sort of secondhand knowledge on this.
Well, it is from England, isn't it? And that's why I'm from too. So I'm kind of a little dismayed that I don't know much about it. I feel like I should know more. But England has so many buildings, so many places.
So Ian, what can you tell us about this? I mean, you chose this location for today's show, and I'm really interested to hear about some of the experiences.
Yeah, well, I myself have never personally been there, but it is very high on my list of maybe, hopefully one day, fingers crossed, that I might get to this location. So anyways, the Ram Inn is located in Gloucestershire, England. It's in a tiny little village called Wootton under Edge. And from what I've heard is, as you can see from the photograph there, the inn was built in the year 1145.
Wow, that's old.
Yeah, so it's not just the Ram Inn, it's the ancient Ram Inn.
It's like on the right title.
And it was built to originally house the builders of the Church of St. Mary's, which is literally right around the corner from where the inn sits. And the inn is claimed to be built on top of actually an ancient pagan burial ground where children are supposedly buried. I've not come across any historical documenting evidence to back this up, but that's the story that I've heard. It's also claimed that do you know what a ley line is?
Yes, of course. Rachel and I did a show on ley lines when we
did, yes.
Our previous podcast.
Yeah, well, it's claimed that there's also a ley line that runs directly through the inn and the neighboring church, and this same ley line actually cuts through Stonehenge.
Oh
my goodness.
I should mention that my parents have been to this inn, however.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so I
know. Really?
My dad mentioned it because he grew up in Devon. And when they went back some years back now, when his mom passed away, they visited this just as a touristy thing to do, right? But I do recall him mentioning that they had visited. Now, I can't say that they had any paranormal experiences. It was lunchtime, so.
All the ghosts were out for lunch.
Maybe they're busy behind the bar.
They'll be back at 2. Okay, so also to say as to maybe why this location is haunted, there's also claims of witchcraft that had taken place.
Okay.
That apparently the village of Wootton has a very famous history for witchcraft way back when.
I always love these witchcraft, or these witchcraft claims, right? Of all the
Yeah,
haunted places, but it makes sense. I mean, it has to have a good backstory, and if you can't find the truth, it's some of these other stories really lay the groundwork for reasons behind potential hauntings.
yeah.
So tell us, you haven't been, but someone who had been, and they were able to do a paranormal investigation here at the inn.
Yes. The building, I don't know how long it perhaps sat in disrepair. In 1968, it was purchased by a man named John Humphreys, and he did a bit of a restoration job to it and ran it originally as a bed and breakfast.
Okay.
And I've heard stories that people would leave in the middle of the night claiming of being attacked by energies in their sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got this reputation for hauntings, and as I say, possibly witchcraft.
Yeah.
And this has now attracted people from all over the world to come and do paranormal investigation at the Ram Inn. And yes, one of my friends was one of those people who managed to get there and do an overnight investigation.
That's really
Oh, I would love to.
So what did he find? Like, I mean, you go in there, and did he know ahead of time the stories about it, or obviously he must have, because he traveled to go there, right?
I'm sure he knew of the reputation of it. I do know that he had the chance to sit down with Mr. Humphreys and have a talk.
Wow.
And so
Oh,
Mr. Humphreys, volunteered some information, which I think helped out during the investigation. So I'm gonna go over some of the evidence that my friend picked up,
okay, great.
and we'll just go from there.
All right.
All right.
They started out in one of the upstairs bedrooms, and this is known as the Bishop's Room. And this is claimed to be the most haunted room in the Ram Inn.
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend Steve, as I say, this was an all-night investigation. So he did multiple EVP and spirit box sessions. So he started in this Bishop's Room doing a spirit box session. And as so many investigators do, they start out, hello, is there anyone here? Would you like to come and speak with us? The usual opening line, right? And there was a child's voice that came through the spirit box that said, hello. Now, remember, there's reports of child spirits in the building because of this pagan burial ground.
Okay.
So then there was a male voice that came through the spirit box. It said, Edward. And I've heard that Edward is, in fact, the most dominant spirit in the building. I have no idea who he was, but that's what's claimed.
Interesting.
And so my friend Steve, he asks, who lives in this building now and takes care of it? And again, there's a child's voice that says, John. which is absolutely correct because the building was owned by John Humphreys,
Oh, wow.
who has since passed away a couple years back. And I believe it's his daughter now who runs the building and conducts what has become all these popular investigations to take place. And so the next question that's asked, was witchcraft performed in this room? And a male voice said, yes, it was. And then my friend Steve asks, is there more than one spirit here? There's a male voice that says, me. And then Steve asks, who's me? Male voice replies, Lancery.
Wow.
Now, there was a man named Charles Lancery, who was a priest in the year 1290, who was connected to the church that's around the corner.
Oh,
Interesting.
wow.
So that's what happened in
Common name, right? It's not like Edward or John, or that's a very specific name that you would need to
yes,
see or know in order to.
yes, and it's a last name,
Oh, okay, right.
Lancery. Yeah, Charles Lancery.
Interesting. That would have been a really cool moment when you get that, right? Because as
Yeah.
as investigations, anytime you start to pick up on names and unusual names or names that are not common names that, you know, anybody can just throw out there,
Yeah.
that's definitely worth some investigating. So at this point, then he's got several names, and this is just in the bishop's room.
That was just in the bishop's room.
Wow.
Incredible. Wow.
So next room he goes to is called the witch's room. And a woman named Mary Gibbons hid in that room way back, as I say, with the claims of witchcraft. She was chased by a bunch of people who believed her to be a witch, and she hid in the Ran Inn.
So that's a lot of high emotion as well. I often find that as psychics and sensitives, we pick up on that high emotion when trauma takes place in a certain area or room. You know, we're pretty good at picking that up, that high energy. She must have been terrified.
Mm-hmm. So he starts another spirit box session in this room, and he asks, you know, Mary Gibbons, knowing her name, he asks, Mary Gibbons, are you here? And through the spirit box, which I love the spirit box, it's a fantastic paranormal investigation tool. It really is. And so he asks Mary if she's there. And a female voice comes through that says, oh, yes, hello. And Steve, okay, now he's got communication with her. He says, you can use this box I'm holding, referring to the spirit box.
Right.
You can use it to communicate with us through the white noise, explaining to her how the device works. And they get a female voice that says, help. There's a male voice that says, help us.
Wow.
And then another female voice says, save us.
Interesting.
And so Steve then asks, what was your name? Can you tell us your name? And they get a male voice that says, Skews. Now, Skews was the name of two highwaymen that used the Ram as their hideout once upon a time.
Wow. Okay.
That's
is
incredible.
Well, again, you're getting this verified name,
Yeah.
you know, as opposed to like Tim or Edward, or, you know, we're getting verified last names. And that was pretty much all that came through in that room. So the team was getting ready to move on to the next room,